live.
Yeah,
We're live.
We're
Hey,
live.
welcome to the Success Mastermind for Wednesday, August 12th, 2020. I am going to say as little as possible because today we are going to have the delight of having someone besides me facilitate the event. This is something that, and understand everyone, this is, we're like by the seat of our pants. That's how we're rolling with this. And there is something intangible about this group, right? The love, the camaraderie, the respect, right? The sympathy of purpose that this group has demonstrated, which is causing this whole group to exist, right? It's not like myself or the guy who's about to come out here and take over the session today. It's not like we sit there and, let me make my notes so I could sound really important, right? No. That's not what it is, right? It's not about lecturing at each other or look at me, I'm the guru. Yes, there's authority, there's knowingness, there's higher levels of wisdom that we share, but it's not with arrogance. With authority, yes. With arrogance, no. And that's the spirit of this group. And I think that's why we've got an ever expanding group of members who are joining us here today. I saw Esther, she ran away. There's of course, Doug, who's out in the woods. Adrienne, Tom, Gail, hello, Elmer. Good to see Coral here. Of course, David's here. He's preparing his jokes for Friday. Mark and Nikki and Jody. Hello, Mandy. It's good to see you again. Jonathan, Jamie, who's back in the West. And of course, we got Kathy, Rosemary, Glenn, Rose, John Wayne, Stuart, Francois, Robin, and Heather. And that's who I can see on the screen right now. But the guy who I'm going to be seeing on the screen even more now is someone you know and you love, and he's a great guy. And I consider him a friend and ally. He and his wife, Leah, out there in Taos, New Mexico, the Laughing Llama people.
Stewie!
Yeah. Let's hear from Stuart. Stuart's got some ideas. Welcome, Stuart.
Hey.
Llama man.
Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing today?
Great.
So John called me last night. He was talking to me a little bit, and he was like, "Hey, you want to run the meeting tomorrow?" And like, okay. So we'll see how this goes today. You guys know that I'm no John Lavinia. I don't know if I'll be able to roll on for a half hour without a break or whatever it is, but I have some cool stories that I want to share with you guys. And hopefully it'll be relevant to you, and we can translate it to business success and mindset principles.
You can do it.
John and I were talking last night. Hey, John, I don't know if I can do the host thing and chat because it's a little much for me. So I don't know if you can deal with that or not. It's fine. John and I were talking last night a little bit about competition and differentiation. And, the questions that come up for me are, what are the things that we can do to set ourselves apart from our competitors? What are the things that we can do as business people, whether it's products or services, to differentiate ourselves from our competitors? And what are the things that we can do to go the extra mile? And that's pun intended for the guy who walks a couple thousand miles a year, or at least used to. So what can we do to go the extra mile for our guests? In our new e-commerce business, we're looking at differentiation in terms of what are the things that we can do to set our products apart. We're looking at eco-friendly products. We're looking at products that support a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. We're working on customer care, things like, inserts and other things, just like all you guys are doing. And yet for me, when I really think about these things, the bulk of my experience is in our guide service. So I just wanted to share a story with you about what we did to differentiate ourselves and set ourselves apart from our competitors. And then maybe I'll flip it back to John, because I sure would love to hear your thoughts on this, John. And then we can open up, for anybody to share stories or relate. When I first started our wilderness guide service, I was in my early 20s. I had minimal, if any, capital, but I sure had a lot of grit and determination. I got my first 2 llamas on the payment plan, meaning, I dropped $50 down. I think I paid $50 a month for a year, and those are my first llamas. Actually, this is my first llama. Okay, so I remember in the early days, dreaming big and talking about, what I wanted to do and how I was going to do it and all this stuff. And most folks that I was talking to were kind of the naysayers and couldn't really understand what I wanted to do or why or how or any of that kind of stuff. And this person, and I can't remember who it was, but this person just gave me this little brass llama, and he was like, here you go, man, that's your first llama, you're on your way, right? And for years, until I got my first living animals, I carried this thing around with me everywhere. There were times in the early years, I had to salvage fencing from old ranchers to do, you know, my first corrals and things like that. And, you know, not the best fencer first time. And so there were times when the llamas would get out. And I remember sitting there on my porch with this little brass llama and my little Andean flute, and I would sit there and play music to try and bring the llamas back home. So that's pretty interesting. That was my first llama. I was talking with John last night about, I still remember the feeling of gratitude of, you know, our first few seasons where I remember making like $3,000 in a season or $5,000 in a season or whatever that is. And I still remember just feeling so grateful and so happy and successful that I was able to set a goal, create a business, and make it happen. And obviously over 20 years, Leah and I were able to transform that and grow that into a six-figure business. But back in the day, you know, it was a struggle for me as a young entrepreneur. Before Leah, I don't know if you guys knew, I was a solo full-time single parent. I had a toddler strapped to my back. I lived in this funky old A-frame cabin. I didn't have electricity. I didn't have a telephone. I would strap my kid on my back. I would hitchhike 30 miles into Taos. I would go hold court at the Taos Inn, which was our local, you know, historic hotel in town. And obviously before the days of cell phone, before the days of the internet and things like that. And this is when I would go out and I would be leading trips, and I would go out for a few days, and then I would come back and I would have to hitchhike into town, go and phone in my voicemail, sit there with a little pad and paper, take all my messages, call back clients and customers, book trips, realize of course that I lost many a trip as I was out on the trail because there was nobody there to answer phones. And God bless Leah when she joined the team. And we'll talk about Leah and our whole history together because it's interesting stuff. But when Leah first joined the team, I think in that first year we quintupled our business and then continued to grow annually from there. What was I going to say? Oh, our ad budget, I think for those first few years, it was probably less than $1,500 a year. I could afford maybe one ad in the summer guide and maybe a couple of memberships and trade publications and things like that. And really what I was getting at was that things were good. You know, we were the only game in town for quite a while. And then all of a sudden we got a competitor and somebody popped up locally that started doing the same thing that we were doing. And this was a person who had a lifetime career in the corporate world, retired to New Mexico, went around the country buying up a bunch of llamas, started advertising, and things started looking bleak for us as young, struggling entrepreneurs. This guy even plagiarized some of our info, things like that. And it was kind of a kick in the ass for me and for us to figure out, you know, how are we going to deal with competition? It really made me think, you know, what made us special or different? Why would somebody want to come on a trip with us? What made us special? And it really helped me to focus down and dial down what were the things that I felt were special about the experiences that we offered. We had an emphasis on education and quality of experience. We would do interpretive hands-on demonstrations with ecology, natural history, wilderness skills, all kinds of cool stuff. And I have to say, we have an amazing customer service department. Let me grab a quick sip of water here. By the name of Leah. And we would invest a lot of time on the phone with people. And I don't know how you guys feel about this. You know, there's the school of thought that, you know, you don't want to spend too much time on the phone with your clients, you're racking up your phone bills and all that kind of stuff. Because what we offered was so different and so unique, we felt that it was important to invest time on the phone with people. And Lee and I would both spend, you know, even like an hour on the phone with guests, and people would have questions about what's the experience is it like? Is it too hard? Can I do it? What do I need? All this kind of stuff. And really, Leah just became the master of, you know, customer relations and dealing with people. And people would come on these trips with me, and, you know, Leah would be home running the office. We also were, you know, raising children at the time, plus all these animals at home. Plus the phone was really ringing off the hook all the time. But people would come on these trips and they would ask for Leah. They would say, hey, where's Leah? Is she coming today? And then when we would get our guest reviews, people would mention Leah in the reviews. And so again, customer service, we made people feel important. We made people feel like they mattered. We spent the time to talk to them, to assuage their fears and address their concerns and things like that. And then let's see. So having a competitor really forced me to level up in a lot of ways. I taught myself HTML and web design and search engine optimization, and we cranked out a killer website and we crushed the search engine rankings. You know, we showed up #1 globally for our search terms, things like that. Local businesses started to approach us and say, hey, we see your website everywhere. How can we do that? I even had a side gig for a few winters, you know, doing web design. I actually designed a website for Leah's mom's real estate business. That was a fun gig. But the reality of the situation was that I saw a need to level up, and maybe that was from a real strong desire, but I saw the person that I wanted to be, and I acted as if I was that person, right? And again, John, you know, I wasn't able to put that into words up until recently, but that's exactly what happened, right? So I apprenticed myself to local herbalists, geologists, hydrologists, historians, mycophagists. That's a word for you to look up, John. You know that one? M-Y-C-O-P-H-A-G-Y-S-T, mycophagist. Wayne, did I get that right? I read as much as I could. Readers are leaders, right? I read as much as I could about every subject, every topic that I was interested in. And one day I woke up and I was an expert in all kinds of things. And it really kind of blew my mind. You know, I was a non-degree self-taught expert. And I think in the early years, there was a bit of a stigma to that, you know, because everybody wanted to know, oh, where'd you go to college? Where'd you get your degree? What did you major in, right? Because I'm, you know, talking shop and dropping science and all kinds of things with people. And I think at first I was ashamed or you know, just not comfortable saying, you know, no, I don't have a college degree, but, you know, I'm smart and I know stuff or whatever. And at a certain point, I really owned that. And I think that there became more of a value that people saw in somebody who was self-made or self-taught. So I really own that and embrace that. I became a local voice for wilderness protection and conservation because that's one of my passions is public lands protection. We started rescuing and rehabilitating llamas from all over the Southwest. People got these animals as exotic pets and things like that. When they realized that they couldn't sell them and make a buck or whatever it was, we would get the call, hey, we got these llamas, we don't want them, we're gonna shoot them, we're gonna, you know, throw them off on the side of the road, come and get them. So now we have 50, but back in the day, we just started picking up animals from different situations. And all those things became points of difference for our business, right? People thought it was really cool that they could go hiking with llamas that had been rescued and rehabilitated, right? And that became sort of one of our keystone points of difference across the board. You know, we did a lot of networking with the State Department of Tourism, with the Chambers of Commerce, things like that. And over time, we became the company, the go-to company. We did a lot of press tours for international and nationally syndicated newspapers, magazines, television shows, and things like that. And then we helped to lead and organize the state of New Mexico's first ecotourism project. And so that was kind of a cool thing. And again, all those things really help to add a point of difference. So sometimes when you just try to kind of up your game, you know, it's not necessarily because you think that all these things are going to make you something, but when once you arrive, all of a sudden you are that. And that's really cool. That was a really cool experience to me. And meanwhile, our competitor, who again was, you know, a retired corporate exec, and he was kind of mean on the phone, and people would call us and say, hey, we called that other company and they were rude to us on the phone, so we're going to go with you. And so we thought that was great. And it got to the point where we realized that this other company was actually advertising for us. from what we had heard, this other person had complained on the trail to his guests and was just kind of, mopey and complaining and just wasn't fun to be around and things like that. There were times that I saw this person or this other outfit on the trail. On our trips, nobody rides the llamas. These are hiking trips. On our competitors' trips, he would get these pony saddles and put kids up on the backs of the llamas and let the kids ride them. We were more interested in empowering young people and letting kids hike and do it themselves. And so we could hand off, a 400-pound animal to a 4-year-old kid, and just walk down the trail kind of thing. So, to me, that was much more empowering than putting a kid on a saddle on the back of an animal. But there were times that I ran into these folks on the trail, and when my llamas and their llamas saw each other, there was a lot of tension on the trail and things like that. And there were dudes like llama turf wars or whatever. And there were times where, and as a guide, I would make it a point to either stay at the back of the line and watch everybody in front so that I could kind of keep an eye on the group like the Papa Bear or whatever. Or I would walk up and down the line and spend a few minutes and chatting with all of our guests and getting to know everybody a little bit. This guy would walk at the front of the line at kind of a breakneck speed, not talk to anybody, had no sort of educational or interpretive component to it. So it was sort of a, more of like a cushy little picnic walk or something like that. And for me, the passion that I had was about sharing information with people and really interacting with people in a real way. And so for us, and really for me, this was an extension of how I wanted to live my life. This was how, this was the kind of lifestyle that we wanted to create. It really wasn't about, how much money am I going to get back or what's the return on investment or any of that kind of stuff. And our competitor really came out of a business, more corporate environment where after a few years, the guy wasn't making his money back or whatever it was. For us, this was a labor of love. And this was a way for me to be outdoors and spend time doing what I love and spend as much time as I could out in nature and things like that. Whereas I think for this other person, it was, a spreadsheet kind of thing. And after a few years, they went out of business. And we just continued to grow and we became sort of, more legendary regionally and things like that. And that's kind of a happy ending to that story. And I wanted to flip it back to you guys and John in particular, and then anybody else that has any stories that they want to share. But I'd just be interested in hearing what are the things that you have done, that anybody on this call has done to set themselves apart from the crowd, from their competitors, in whatever field you're in, whether this is, something from a previous career or something that you're doing now in your e-commerce business. And so I hope that story was relevant and that you guys got some stuff out of it. And thanks for being kind enough to let me talk for a few minutes. John, what's up?
Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
buddy.
not the host. I'm not.
I wanted to hear what you had to say about that. Anybody else have anything to say?
Well, sure. I mean, my opinion is just as qualified as everyone else's, I suppose. But I see a parallel between that and what a lot of people here in our group are doing in terms of setting themselves above and beyond, the so-called competition with, a better message, a more personalized message, right? Or as some of our British friends would say, bespoke, right? For our Americans, that means customized, right? It's bespoke. And so we don't use that word here in the States too much. But I was just looking at llamaadventures.com, shameless plug, llamaadventures.com, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, if you click on about screen there, you'll find About Wild Earth. You'll see some great pictures of the laughing llamas over there with Lee and Stuart. And yeah, I think a lot of people want to take your tour now, right? I'll tell you who would also want to take your tour are all those people who bought from your competitor, who was running an enterprise, which is cool, run an enterprise, okay? But is there skin in the game? I know Elmer made a joke, the old movie West Side Story, which was like one of the best musicals ever filmed, but he said Southwest Side Story. It's llama turf wars now, right? And so I'm thinking, is that the experience that the people who bought from your competitors had? Did they get to be in some high tension situation? Yeah, look at the petroglyphs or whatever, folks. And oh, here comes this asshole down the trail, right? Is that it? Is that the experience I signed up for? No, no. Speak kindly of your competitor. I know you engaged with those people, and what? You gave them probably a better experience than the guy who they paid, right? So what are you, a volunteer? No, but you captured all the business, all of it, right? One of the things that Napoleon Hill reminds us of is to do more than what you're paid for, right? So it's an aspect of leadership, right? Leader is responsible beyond their own, physical, assignments or post, right? The leader does more than what is, paid for in terms of on the spreadsheet. And what does that do? That gets you all the business. Is there anyone who would go and buy from Stuart's competitor now? Probably not. I wouldn't. No way, right? I'm ready for Laughing Llama tours and outdoor llama adventures, damn it. And why llamas? I have no idea. All I know is I want to go hang out with llamas now, right? So anyway, there's my thoughts on it. I will just end with one other thing, because this is your hosting today.
All right.
And we're getting this whole schedule going, and we're going to have lots of variety on here. But the I do work, as you know, with the largest firearms training institute in North America. They train more people in 1 week than all other schools in the United States combined in a year. How does that happen? They have a very specific doctrine, right? This is exactly the material to be taught. These are the words that you say. You don't call it this, you call it that. People need to learn the nomenclature. The number one thing that stops people from being able to do or understand what to do is misunderstood words, right? I don't know, what are you talking about, right? Clip, what the hell's a clip? So that's the thing, is that the standard is so high and so precise. We may think, well, does that limit the personal expression of, let's say, that individual trainer, right? That individual instructor? Well, no, they still, have their own personality into it, but you do not vary in terms of, doctrine, or in terms of how long it takes to deliver, or how long it takes to do the thing. So everyone, here's the I guess the punchline. Everyone who goes through that experience has the exact same experience, and they're delighted. We talked about surprise and delight, and now they're bringing their friends, and the school grows and grows and grows and grows, and now it's the undisputed dominant force in the entire industry, right? Because of predictability and the super high standard of the customer experience. Customer experience. Grandma walks onto the firing range for the first time. This is very different than taking llama tours. She walks onto the firing range for the first time with a weapon that she rented. She doesn't even own one. And we're teaching her how to defend herself with this stuff. At the end of 4 days, she's taking headshots from concealment in 2 seconds. Okay. But before, she was, oh my goodness, this is a Glock 17. What is that? Right. I know people outside of the United States are probably thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? Are you a bunch of cowboys out there? Kind of. But you get the point, is that grandma and the SWAT guy who's on the firing line next to her are going to have the exact same experience, and they're both going to be delighted and have been improved during those 4 days. Anyway, I'm ready to take a damn llama tour. Are you selling that now? Can I buy that?
No, dude,
No?
we're closed. We're closed for the
Okay,
season,
okay. Well,
but, and remember, I don't know if you heard me say, but I can barely walk right now. So
Okay.
We'll
Look at the
we'll see how
website,
things
everybody.
go.
Way
But-
to tease us, Stuart.
Oh my God. Well, all
right.
right. So
You
I'm
got
looking at
up,
hands.
Stuart. You're in control. You see the hands? Can you
I
do that?
see the hands.
All right, you
First
got
I see my brother Mark in Northern California. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Stuart. Hey, congratulations. You broke the ice, and that's great. I don't have any, it's no surprise to me that what you're experiencing now in our journey in e-commerce and Amazon, all that. It's basically what I've just listened to is 30 years of self-teaching and consistency and grit and dedication compressed into 4 months, and to make this all come to fruition for you. So it doesn't surprise me in the least that you are where you are in this journey. And the thing that kind of goes along with that although we sit here in this, in this mindset environment, we also, for those out there who have not been on any of the after calls or any of that, just so you know, we've kind of started affectionately, intermittently calling Stuart the professor. So, although he says he hasn't been to a college, that guy's been to the school of hard knocks and street learning. And the guy's just really an amazing guy. And full disclosure, Stuart and I talk a lot offline. And it didn't take long, probably a week when we first started talking, we just kind of connected. And I give the guy, I look to him. He is now, in a lot of ways for me, a mentor, a guiding light, a guy to look to. I believe that, Stuart. The things that and the things that that are vacant on my side, I look to that because it's important for me to have something that I can pull from and not try to go about this, independently or, in a vacuum. So I commend you, and I think John's made just a perfect choice here for this kind of environment, and good for you, man. I'm with you all the way, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Semper Fi.
Thanks for your kind words, man. Jamie, what's up, bro?
You scared me. I'm gonna steal Glenn's thunder from yesterday. When you talked about that other owner and how he walked up to the front briskly and, his actions, it just reminded me of what Glenn said yesterday. He was making that about himself. And conversely, you're not making it about yourself. And that's why people gravitated toward you and Leah and your business, because they felt comfortable and at home and at ease. Whereas they didn't feel, I'm sure with the other guy, those people felt as if they were just lining up. They weren't paying for an experience. They were paying for, an event, and not an event that they probably felt they signed up for. They thought it was going to be this holistic, natural, experience in nature with llamas. And, there's a guy who's just, crossing his T's and dotting his I's. I know that in my experience, when I've been working in sales and in business, is that you're not trying to sell something to somebody. You're trying to solve or help them with a problem. Now, the problem on your side, it's not really a problem by definition, but what they're trying to achieve is they're trying to get an experience. They're trying to have an experience. And that's what you're solving, is you're bringing to them that issue. You're helping them with that by solving that portion of their desire, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get at. And that other guy, not doing that at all. It's all about him. It's all about his bank account. It's all about what he can do for himself and not what he can do for others. Conversely, you're doing what you believe is best for others, what keeps you true to yourself, what keeps you true to them, and respecting what they want. And I can't say enough about that portion about how your attitude and Leah's attitude about that, the way to run that business and to bring that to those people, it's just beyond measure. And I commend you and Mark and I are on, I break my arm patting myself on my back because Mark's helping me get to where I need to be. Mark's my guy. You are to Mark. It's amazing. And I go back to, I can't, the fact that I'm here is just immeasurable. And you're one of the bright lights on here. We're all bright lights, but yours tends to get a little brighter sometimes than the rest of us. So anyway, love you, brother.
Love you, man. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Hey, I think we all are going to get some sore arms from patting ourselves on the back here, man. So that's good enough. All right. 8 limbs. Is that Susan? Who's 8 limbs?
That's Nancy. Sorry,
Hey, Nancy.
I forgot to change it last night after teaching. Wow, let me just take a breath and say I am blown away by your story. I knew you were an exceptional person to begin with, Stuart, but like learning more about you, I'm just, wow, bow down to you. Amazing. One of the things that stood out to me about your share was how you dealt with your competitor. And, there's always well, there's maybe more than two ways, but two very obvious ways. One is to get really pissed and really bitter and to be on attack mode toward the other person who's opening a business in your town, like what happened with you, or it's to be more skillful, which is exactly what you did. You leveled up and you just pulled your game way up and made you get really clear about your values. And so that is huge beyond measure. And I have a share around that and just my own previous ownership in a business. So I'll try to be brief. I started a yoga studio with my former husband, and we, in this small college town that I'm in right now, outside of Moscow, Idaho. And there was only one small studio that had been here for like 35 years. And they had like linoleum floors and just really ugly space and very few teachers to provide instruction. And we thought, okay, we actually went to that person to tell them what we were doing and asked first if we could collaborate with them. And they were a hard no. We don't want to have anything to do with you unless you're a Iyengar yoga. And anyways, we were like, okay, so we went ahead and we opened this business that, first of all, the aesthetics of the place was really important to us. So we put a lot of money in, we rehabbed the whole place, made it absolutely beautiful, warm colors. We focused on customer service with a gold standard. We did no marketing. It was all word of mouth. We did some paper flyers, but, and against a lot of people saying, you're never going to make it here. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody will be in your classes, especially on Sunday, they'll be in church and things like that. We chose to do those things that they said, don't do. And in fact, that Sunday class that we opened was the biggest class of the entire week. And so we went against kind of what everybody was saying not to do, but really our values were what we were focusing on, of serving the community with affordable, accessible, high quality instruction. So we trained all of our teachers. They all had the same methodology. And so it was focused around education. The other thing I want to say is that we produced so many good teachers that then those teachers, this is the problem with creating good teachers, right? They wanted to open their own business in a very small town. And I did have a negative experience with one of my teachers who I had to let go. And she opened her own small studio in this, I'm talking 30,000 people in this town, right? There's not a lot to go around. And I just went off my rocker on this one because it felt like such a betrayal. And another colleague of mine just said, Nancy, just hold your integrity, hold your values, keep doing what you're doing. This person's just going to burn out and go away. Don't worry about it. And so I did. I kept my focus and I leveled up even more. What can we give back to the community? We started doing more programs that were giving our profits away. And so that's one thing I want to talk about, differentiation. And not a lot of money, but it made a huge impact. Anyways, this other person ended up just fizzling out over time. The whole experience was a huge learning. And I did want to share that because I've done a lot of things and business ownership was one of them. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And thank you again, Stuart, for just being such a pinnacle of like leadership. Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. That was a cool story. I really liked hearing that you leveled up and that you decided to include, service to the community in that. And I think those are the things that bring value to whatever it is that you're doing. And going back to what Jamie was talking about in terms of the level of value that people see from what you're offering, right? And I always go back to Maxwell's hierarchy of needs. And if you guys haven't heard of that, I'll drop that in the chat box one day, or you can look that up. But essentially, it's a hierarchy of the way that people value things. And on the bottom of this pyramid are really just the basic sort of survival components. Then as you kind of go up the pyramid, it's, relationships, friends and family. But at the top of the pyramid are things like personal development and self-realization and things like that. And that's what people place the most value on, are things that better themselves, right? So super cool. Thanks for sharing that, Nancy. Wayne, what's up, dude?
Hey, Stuart. Hey, great story. Thanks for sharing everything you shared today. That's fantastic. So I was thinking last night a little bit on some of the discussion we had earlier in the week, just about how we approach our critics and sort of react when criticism comes our way and stuff. And a story that I hadn't actually thought about in my own life for a while kind of came to mind in that. And I think it actually plays in a little bit about what you're talking about today too, as far as differentiation goes. But I lived in Australia for 20 years. My wife's Australian. My kids were all born there. And I lived in a small town on the East Coast, about halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, and a neighboring town for anybody who knows Australia called the Coffs Harbour, a place synonymous for the Big Banana. So if anybody's been there, you'll maybe know where it is. But the guy that owned the Big Banana, which was kind of a local little theme parky type thing, and there's banana plantations there and so on, decided he was going to build an ice rink. And I got all excited about that, being Canadian. The fact that I was going to have opportunity to put some blades on my feet again and go play on frozen water. And it got this idea that a little bit of hockey wouldn't go astray too. And for those outside of North America, it's not the hockey we play on grass, it's the real hockey that we play on ice. And anyway, I went and saw this guy and told him that I would really like to start coaching hockey and teaching people how to play hockey in Australia. In that part of Australia, a small town. Brisbane and Sydney and Melbourne have all had hockey for quite a few years, and expats play there a fair bit. So anyway, he was on board, and so he kind of gave me a bit of a trial, and we put an ad in the local paper, and a bunch of people turned out. We had people everywhere from the age of 7 up to a guy by the age of about 70 that came out onto the ice. So I started teaching people how to play hockey, how to skate. And most of them had never even skated before. He had people turning up in this sub-zero insulated room that he'd built, wearing shorts and what Australians call wife beaters, singlet t-shirts. And I sort of had to teach them that you need to wear long pants and try and keep yourself warm while you're out there. But anyway, as we moved on, I called my dad to tell him what was going on. And so one of the things my dad told me, and being real, I don't hold this against him at all, but he said to me, "Wayne, you know you're not a very good technical skater." So in part of coaching this, part of it is actually learning to be better myself. So I got books and I watched videos from Canadians and coaches in Canada and so on to try and improve my skills so that I could pass those skills on to the people I was teaching. So, and in the end, when things all finished up, one of the girls that started there and had never skated before actually went on to play for the Queensland team and represented Australia on Team Australia in South Africa in International Ice Hockey Federation. C-grade hockey nonetheless, but so definitely wouldn't be competing against the Canadians or the Swedes or anything like that, or the Americans, but competing against South Africans and so on. So two thoughts there, I guess, is number one, sometimes your critics are well-meaning. And I think, when you take criticism, if you take it on board in a positive fashion and seek to change yourself to overcome whatever those things are that you're being criticized about or given feedback in many instances, if you want to look at it that way. And then the other piece from the competition side is sometimes you can differentiate yourself by being in a different market. So, your market might be saturated. I was like, because I've been skating ever since I can remember. I've been skating as long as I can breathe air, I think. Over there, people looked at the young kids would skate up beside me and, "Oh, you're from Canada and you play hockey," and all these sorts of things. Mind you, if I'd been doing that in a small town in Canada here, I probably would have been the guy that, he was just another guy, right? I definitely wasn't an NHL quality guy. So sometimes product or whatever it is, differentiating yourself can be finding a different market, finding a different group, adapting your product, or even looking for a new product that isn't something that you're necessarily familiar with, but you're taking it somewhere new. So it's just my little piece from that. And thanks again for everything there, Stuart and John, and all that everybody shares here, because I've been learning so much.
Dude, I love that. First of all, growing up in New York, and my dad was a corporate exec, and I'll share some of those stories as time goes on. But we had season tickets to the Rangers, and we go to hockey games all the time. I was at Phil Esposito's retirement game, and my dad was like a VIP, so we had dinner with the whole team and all that kind of stuff. But I've always called hockey ice fighting, so I think it's awesome.
It's a great sport.
And
It's not all about fighting.
I know, dude, I'm teasing you. I like what you said about just a whole new market, right? I mean, hockey was not a thing in Australia, right? And you brought that to those folks, and you created an environment where other people that you were touching were able to succeed and excel in ways that maybe they wouldn't have if they were in another market, right? That's super cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's people like new experiences. So if you can bring new experience, whatever it is, via product or via service, a lot of times people love those opportunities.
All right. Hey, Wayne, I actually wanted to ask you, did you catch the Perseids last night?
Sorry, say that again.
Oh, the Perseid meteor showers. Anybody?
No, I didn't see that last night,
So
but
tonight,
we had overcast, and I've been out with my stargazer thing here, trying to see a few things around the last little while, but didn't catch
nice.
that.
So if anybody's up tonight, about an hour before moonrise, and if you look to the western sky, I think it's the eastern sky tonight, and it's in Perseus. But anyway, it's the Perseid meteor showers. Super cool. Ivier, what's up?
I can't believe you got the pronunciation right,
What?
Stuart.
Come
Oh
on.
my goodness. Well done.
What? Her name isn't Ivy? What? Will you guys please enlighten me?
Yeah, John, you've been hammering that out wrong since the day started.
Okay. John, you are completely forgiven. You can put your head up now. It's okay.
Ivier?
Yeah, you got it. Oh no, come back.
Oh, that's awesome.
Man,
It's so funny.
supposed to be some kind of a great orator. I can't even say Ivier.
No,
You
no,
know
you
what?
just
Come on,
said it
man.
now.
Get it
Yay.
Oh my God. I so want to hear more of your story, Ivier. I really do. So please.
So Stuart, just listening to you, I just wanted to say something. With a kid strapped on your back and starting a business and doing whatever it took, I mean, I just commend that. And I think for me, listening to you, you already had adverts going in your favor, even if you didn't know it, before that competitor came on board. Because everybody that saw you trek into town, do what you had to do with your kid on your back. I mean, any visitors to that town saying, oh, what can we do for fun, will have mentioned what you were starting up as an option. You were already a walking advert for your business. So long before that competitor came and tried to steal your copy and your ideas and whatever else it was, you'd already made an impression on the people of that town. So you had sown seeds way in advance, and you can't sow and not reap. So it was bound to come back to you. So I wasn't surprised about that. And I think also for me, it shows your strength of character that you knew you needed help. And so when Leah and you got together, you weren't shy or you weren't weak or I guess stubborn or whatever else the word is to still go it alone and do it on your own and say, well, this is my business. You very quickly said to her, look, let's do this together. And you created a space for her to actually use the strengths that she was bringing to the partnership to grow your business. Because a lot of the time, you know, especially for perfectionists, or we think we're the only ones that can do something the right way, we can forget or ignore that we need help along the way, and therefore ask people for help, and not just ask, but also receive that help when it's offered. You know, so there's just so many things you said, but I think those were the two things that stood out for me. And so that takes me to, I have fingers in quite a few pies, and I think going through school during my MBA, I decided I wanted to start waiting tables to make, you know, extra money. I mean, I liked eating out anyway. And so I thought, well, I know how I like to be served, so why not do that and earn some money on the side? And I was in South Africa at the time doing my, my MBA. And people would come to the restaurant and would sit at my tables. And the way I'd serve them, I'd get the question, do you have silver service training? And I'll be like, no, I'm just serving you the way I like to be served. Thank you very much. And they'd say, oh, really? And I'd go, yes. And they'd go, but everything you've done is the standard of service we would get at so-and-so restaurant or at so-and-so establishment. And I said, when you come to eat, it's not just about the meal, because for me, you may be celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, a promotion at work, something. It's more than just the meal. You're creating memories. Some people take photos, so it's you kind of like know that it's a bigger event than just what's on the plate in front of them. And so I try to add, my little bit of, so when they go away, they feel, one, money well spent, but also that they've gone away having received more than potentially what they paid for. And I can't tell you how many times at the end of the night, I would have way more tips than anybody else who'd waited tables. So much so that the owner of the restaurant came up to me and said, do you mind training all the new waiters and waitresses that we get? And I kind of like said, well, this is my first gig at this. Why am I going to be training everybody that comes through the doors? But he clearly said that. So over and above me waiting tables, I then got bumped up to head waiter or head waitress, whatever you want to call it. He then paid me extra for training people. And at some point, I had a recruitment agency come up to me and say, do you mind joining us and running our training arm? Just because of what you do, because all the new recruits they were sending to this restaurant kept saying back to the agents that, oh, we go there and there's this particular lady, she just takes us under her wings and just shows us the ropes. And before you know it, we've got our own sections. And so if you send people there, try and make sure she's on shift or whatever, and she would settle them in. I say all of that I now live in the UK. And based on what I did in South Africa, I was able to, I think, even though working and during the financial crisis when I lost my job, I was able to rejig my CV and give it to establishments like Claridge's. I don't know if you know Claridge's, but Claridge's is probably as high-end a restaurant, hotel chain you can get. When dignitaries come, it's like, it's people who can afford it. You're talking big bucks for a hotel room. A little dish of something can break the bank if you're not, well padded, so to speak. And so to come into the UK from South Africa and to be able to walk into a place like Claridge's and get a job like that, and once again doing what I love to do, and now not only have I worked there now for a few years on the side just to keep busy. Not during COVID, but they've made me head waiter once again. The managers are kind of like, if they need a go-to person, it's me. If there's special events where it's dignitaries, I'm always on that team. It's just ridiculous, So it's just, if you just go with that ethos of, it's not about the money, but to leave people with more value, more perceived value than they think they're paying for, they'll keep coming back. So that was what I guess reminded me of, just listening to you talk today. And yeah, it's just amazing. But yeah, well done. Thank you for inspiring us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Ivy, I really do want to hear more about your journey and your story as time goes on. So we'll swap stories as we go. Okay. The two things that came to me as you were speaking, one, impression of increase, right? Yeah. And leaving people more than when they met you, kind of thing. Yeah. And then the other thing that comes to mind is the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? Yeah. And this concept of, if you go about your life with integrity and all of your dealings are respectful and all about trying to do the best you can and all those things, people take note of that and you rise to the top of whatever, and how you were talking about your experience in the restaurant world, but even just hearing you talk about your experience in the corporate world over the last, few sessions. There's like in the back of my head, I'm like, Ivier is going to be CEO of whatever company she's working at right now. So
thank you.
Good on you. Good on you. Let's see. Joe, what's up? And Gina, right? John Regina? Or is it Elmer? Let's go to Elmer. Sorry, Elmer was there.
No worries, Stuart.
Hey, Elmer and
Hi. Thank you guys so much for your stories. EVA is always a tough act to follow because of her words of wisdom, as well as you, Stuart. And I think you guys were almost picking up all of the content we were going to share. But the first thing that came to mind when John was talking about differentiation goes along with what many people are facing right now, especially in the corporate world, is what do you bring to the table? You know, and sort of breaking it into the three parts that we've been discussing and hearing over and time again with John and everyone else on this amazing discussion is I sort of broke it up into three parts. Like, okay, well, before you go to the table, who's showing up to the table? Like, who's the one that's doing what needs to be presented? Like, how do you show up? You know, by sticking to like what I think Nancy had said, your focus and values, and, you know, you may see what your competitors are doing or your naysayers are saying, but, you know, brush it off and maintain focus on what you and your journey and why, and the big question of why you're doing this in the first place will help you maintain that focus. So then, you know, the question is, well, once you're at the table, you know, they're asking, what do you bring? And I think like one of the biggest things is, you know, be the energy that you want to attract. You know, we're all talking about law of attraction. Like, you know, what Stuart and EVA and others on this call, like what they bring and how they discuss their stories, share their stories, the energy and emotion that they bring to the table once they're at the table sort of is contagious to the rest of us, which is why a lot of us really value what many of the words and stories that are being told in this call. And part of that as well is just sharing your vision. You know, we're all excited about having started down this journey because we've all wanted to do something better with our lives, with our families' lives and the people around us. And just even in this forum, like with people who we would never come across, like the more we share, the more that people are inspired, it's just really infectious. And that comes down to the third part is how do you leave the table, which pretty much goes back to what Stuart and everyone else is saying is that impression of increase. You know, you want to leave the table like, you know, you want to leave the table making an impression that these people enjoyed their experience with you, or you've been able to share something that sort of ignites some sort of inspiration even after you've left. Because like so many of us like that are on here, especially you know, when we thought we were getting cut off, people took action. You know, we weren't happy with like, you know, no more service on the daily calls. Like we took action and jumped in, like, how are we going to leave this? We're not going to leave this. Then we wanted to make sure that the platform was maintained. So, I mean, kudos to everyone who's been sharing. And, you know, I'm usually just a really good listener and I haven't really spoken up. So this is the first time, but I mean, everyone's been fantastic. And just thinking of it in those three parts, who's coming to the table, who's doing that, what are you doing at the table, and then how do you leave the table? So thank you, everyone.
Dude, I love the table metaphor. I don't know if I've ever heard that expounded upon in such detail. I really, really like that. Who's coming to the table? What's at the table, and how do you leave the table, or what do you bring to the table? Right? That's awesome. Yeah. Very, very cool.
EVA helped. I mean, like, again, she's a very hard act to follow, but when she started talking about tables, I was like, that's my segue. I know what to go into. Plus, like, more people know about me. Like, Hongsen and I are very big eaters, so we're all about being at tables and eating.
Nice. I love it. That's great. Thanks for sharing, man. Let's see. Joe and Regina. What's up, guys?
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's fine.
What happened? What happened to your head?
Oh, I just had minor surgery this morning. Joe beat me up. That's all. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, everybody's pretty much said it. You know, it's all about what comes from your heart that goes out the door. You know, I mean, if you're passionate about what you do, you just show it. You emit it, and it just flows easily. I was in business. I think I'm still in business, but I was in business in the catering business for 21 years. And I built it without advertisement. I just went out and started doing my thing. People started calling me, boat shows, you started asking me, artists started asking me, art shows, different things like that. And I had I had a lot of private caterings and things like that. And it was basically like EVA said, you just try to please people the way you want to be pleased, make everybody feel special. And I didn't need advertising. People kept asking me if I wanted to advertise. I said, my best advertising is just you come into the trailer, seeing what I have, or hiring me and seeing what we have and seeing what we do. And then you'll spread the word. A card doesn't do anything. And it worked for 21 years until COVID came along, and I've been out of business for over 4 months. So I don't know what's going to happen from here, but I decided to do a plan B, and now we're trying something new. And it's so different because you can't do that personal thing anymore as much as you were. It's a whole different genre on the internet. It's so detached. So I'm kind of out of my element here and struggling a little bit more than I thought I would. But it's inspiring that everybody has they all have passion from their heart. And I think that's what's so special about this group. We all have such big, generous hearts. No matter what part of the world you come from, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're passionate and you draw to passion, you have nothing but to emit passion. And I think if we can have a world like that in the future, that would be just amazing. But anyway, I just wanted to add to what everybody was saying and keep charging on, guys. And Stuart, you're doing an amazing job today. I'm telling you, what a leader.
Oh my God. The first thing that you said, Regina, if your heart is filled with passion, it flows out the door. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad to hear that that related to your experience as an entrepreneur in your catering business and all that. And what's up, Joe? We'll talk to you soon.
Oh,
Say hi.
not much. I come under the same thing. You just get filled up with everyone, with their stories, and it's the same thing. You see that the passion in everyone, and it's the attitude of okay, you're not going to give up. It's just like what you were doing. You just kept on going, and that's what we have to do. Is just not give up. It's just stride forward, find a way. And no matter what, it's just you have to find a way and get it done. And I just have so much, heartfelt thanks for this group. Everybody's just amazing. Just love it. Thank you.
It's a big love fest, baby. So I don't know, Joe, when you guys were speaking, my screen was freezing a little. I don't know if that was my connection or anybody else's. So hopefully I won't freeze up or cut out or anything like that.
I have a jacket if you need one.
Let's go to Gail in New Jersey. What's up, Gail?
Hi, I just wanted to say, everything that you said earlier when you first came on with the things that you've gone through, the self-education that you've done through reading. I've done that myself. I used to be ashamed to tell people that I only had a 7th grade education, but I kept on reading and learning. And when I did finally want to go back to school, to college, and they give you an entrance exam, and they were shocked when she asked me, what level of education had I had, and I told her, and she said I was above average in everything except math. I was below average, and I still am in that. But I think what's important is that you keep your integrity, that you are humble, and which you are, and you stick to your values, and you are honest, kind, good. That all comes out in the way you present yourself and the way people perceive you. And so I think it's very, very important to stick to those values like you have. And you are such an inspiration to all of us. Even just looking at you, I feel the goodness coming from you. So thank you for that. And thank you everyone else for everything that you've contributed to today. This group is wonderful. They really, really are. We all get something different and something wonderful from it. So thank you all. And that's my bit.
Thanks, Gail. I appreciate you sharing that about your own journey of self-education. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Evelyn, what's up?
Hey, Stuart.
Hey, Javi. ¿Qué tal?
My brother. I have to say something. I don't know where you haven't been, because you are so close to our home too, you know, because of your grandparents. I cannot believe. What I have to say is the same thing that pretty much everybody keeps on saying. We're very proud of you. John, you're very smart for putting Stuart, you know, today with the call, because this guy, his heart, his love, his passion for everything that he does, it just naturally comes out that in such a way that we can all feel your energy. The other thing I wanted to share was I am in business development. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional here, but I've been in business development for a while in the staffing industry, and everybody that is in sales, we know that it's very hard. We gotta differentiate ourselves, you know, from everyone else. It's a very tough industry, especially when you have to pay such high fees for those hires. And what I brought to the table was a relationship. It was me. People were doing business with me, not with the company that I worked for, the corporate office that I have worked for. And that proves when I have moved from a staffing agency to a different one and to a different, and they follow me because it's me who they want to do business with. And these people, they literally, they text me, they call me, and we talk is about them and their relationships. Yes, we do talk business. We know what they want, you know, in terms of the need for that department. But my job and how I was passionate about it is really understanding their needs, meet those needs, but create a relationship with them as an individual, getting to know them, what they wanted, what they needed, and also, you know, family life. And one thing that I always did, and I think that Regina will probably share this part with me, even Elmer, is when you visit a client, you visit with them, look around their office and see what they love. It's on their desk. You started with that, showing us your llama, you know, and that's something that I always done. You know, I connected with them that way. They had a picture of their children or grandchildren. That's what I have behind me. It's my family wall, you know, my grandchildren, which, by the way, my granddaughter's name is Leah. So there is a reason why things happen the way they happen. I am very grateful for all of you guys. And that's, I think, all I have to say, you know, is connect with the client. This is a different platform. This is our new passion, you know, our new way of having some income for all of us, you know, that's why we invested. But, you know, we gotta find a way of connecting with the client in a personal way. The person that is purchasing from us, maybe create that relationship so they continue to do the word of mouth, you know, in the other businesses that we were in. You know, we gotta find a way, you know, keeping it in the rules and policies of Amazon, but regardless, we have to find a way, you know, of connecting with the client. But Stuart, from the heart, thank you so much.
Mucho gusto. So nice to see you, Javi. And Evelyn, thanks for sharing that. That reminds me of the Simon Sinek TED Talk about people don't buy what you're selling, they buy who you are, or they buy what you believe, right? And that goes back to what Elmer was saying about who's coming to the table, right? Rule number one. So super cool. Nice to see you guys together. We're just a little past the top of the hour. We got a couple people here. I see my brother Julian and then Jane, and then we'll flip it back to John if that works. What's up, Julian? We could go.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, so I'm not on video today. I'm sat in my garden and it's been sunny, so I'm not wearing a shirt. So I've got to keep the standards high, John, haven't I? obviously.
Oh, come on.
What I wanted to say, I mean, a lot of people have said a lot of what I was going to say. I was just going to share with you. I think it's about delivering quality and service to people is really what it's all about. I mean, I've started 2 businesses. One I started in '93. I started it with a van, 500 quid in the bank and no customers. And I grew that to nearly a £5 million business, and I employed nearly 100 employees. Every year I used to take on 3 trainee engineers and apprentices and train them up. And I felt that was my bit of giving back to the community. I also did a lot of charity work through my company. But it was all about quality. I mean, I'd shared with you a little analogy that, it was more than an analogy, it was a quote that I had, which I'd always, the Strive for Perfection one by Henry Royce, but I really took that as my mantra. And I think what we are is a brand. It's your own individual brand as a person. And people will buy from people that they like. The problem that we maybe have is with e-commerce is that it's difficult to get your personality across on a product. But I think there is a way that you can still get that across to people and to be successful. I mean, I started another company similarly, and it started from very humble beginnings, and I grew that one again. That was a renewables business, but it was all about going the extra mile, and I've always gone the extra mile and done a little bit more. And even if I was employed in previous jobs, not very often that I've been employed, but I've always given that little bit extra to people, and I think people appreciate that and people see that. And certainly with service, it's 100%, and what you give, you get back, definitely. And this is, for me, this is a whole new venture. I've entered into, the world of e-commerce. I've sort of dabbled with it loosely before, but I had a team of people that were doing it for me. Now I'm having a go to do it on my own. And it's an exciting adventure. And I say the group has been a great support. Met some amazing people on the way. And then I've made my feelings about, spending the money. Initially, it was well worth it just to meet and connect with like-minded people. But I think that is the support mechanism you need going forward. Is to share that with other people, and to share your experiences, because I think like for me, who really is interested in what I've done with my business and how I grew it has no relevance now. It was a few years ago, but it just shows that actually from your experiences of what you've done and what you've achieved in your life and the methods that you've used to get there, maybe if somebody can take 5% or 10% of what you've done and applied your tactics into their business and pick all the best bits out, it makes other people successful as well. And I've always wanted to help other people and see other people succeed. I've always said I'm the best salesman for everybody else's business, but hopefully one day somebody comes along and does a bit of selling for you. But my ultimate skills are networking and business development and sales. Forget all the engineering, all the other qualifications I've got. They're the bits that I'm really good at and really enjoy. I just love to see people succeed, and I like to share. So, but that was really my bit, Stuart. On your words, I joined late, so I only caught the tail end of your story. But you and I have spoken personally, so I think I don't know you really that well, but I think I know you well enough to know you're a guy with a really good heart. So,
well, thanks for that, man. I thank you for sharing. From the discussions that we've had, dude, I have so much respect for you for what you've been able to create in your life, and the successes that you've had. And just because something maybe a couple of years ago, dude, that's still you. It's all you, brother. And so
I just sometimes worry that not worry, but I just feel that as a group, I love listening to people's stories, and I've got so many stories to tell, and some of them a little bit deep. Some of them I could tell you some really funny stories and make everybody laugh. But, I just feel as a group, it's just that support mechanism and sharing a bit with what everybody's done. I suppose it's not the greatest English thing that we self-promote ourselves, although that just contradicts what I've just said about that, we are the brand. Julian Michalski is a brand, isn't he? That is the brand that goes. And subsequently, when I finished my business, I've been headhunted to go and get to work on some serious projects in the city down in London, and they've been, I had a reputation for getting things done and delivering, and one of the things was delivering real exception. I can't abide poor quality. I'm a real perfectionist, but You know, it doesn't take much more effort to do the job right than it does to do it wrong.
Thanks for sharing that, man. Yesterday, you missed the discussion. People were talking about how folks in the UK may have a hard time speaking up because of cultural norms and things like that. And I
I've no issues talking.
You and I talked about a month or so ago, and we talked about doing like a sing-along of London Calling or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that. I can do that.
Stayers on a sing-along. Anyway, dude, so nice to hear your voice.
No, I don't want to take up the time. I appreciate it. But anyway, it was just to share that with everybody, really. So it's just, you know, you guys, inspirational, to be honest. You know, it's been an inspiration to us all, and I hope that, you know, that my little bit of input in there now and again has given somebody else a bit of inspiration as well.
All right. So I know we're getting close. John's prompting me. We got to start wrapping up here. We have Jane, but I know that Toyin has been trying to say something. I know that she doesn't speak very often, so I wanted to give her an opportunity to say something. What's up, Toyin?
Are you talking to me now, Stuart?
Say it again.
You talking to me now?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. I won't keep everyone waiting because I know time is gone. But two things I wanted to say. First of all, hearing your story and how you've built up your business and how it's grown and how well you treat your customers and how important they feel doesn't surprise me, because I remember, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, as someone who isn't often on the call because I'm working, I sent a message to say, oh, thank you, Stuart, because for, you know, sorting out this new group with John and everybody else. And I said to you, I put the message on the chat actually, and I said, I'm not often on the call, so you may not know me. And, or I think I just said, I'm not often on the call. And then you replied and you said, no, I remember you from, you know, from when you spoke before. And I was like, oh, wow. And then that day, I think you shared about your business and how you made a point of finding out the details of all your customers before they came on the tour, so then you would know what to talk to them about. And I just thought, he pays attention to detail. That's what it is. He pays attention to detail and he makes people feel heard. And I just feel one of the most important things in communicating is making people feel heard and understood. And relating that to myself, I do two jobs. So I've done a job which I've done for years. I work in one of the biggest TV stations in the UK. I'm an editor. But my other job, which I went into probably about 5 years ago, I just decided I want to do something else. I want to work with people. So I trained to be a counsellor, and I specifically chose to work with young people because I just feel it's really important for young people to be heard and to just understand how they experience life, because life can be really difficult. And so I got a job in a high school. So I just do that job once a week. It's in a high school. And I've done it for 2 years now. And when I first started, some of the young people would not really want to have counselling, although they needed it, they didn't want it. And the social worker, she's the one who refers the kids to me. She would be in the room and she would say something like, oh, I've got this young person. So there would be 3 of us in the room, and she would say, I know you don't really want to have counselling, but maybe you should give it a try. And the young person might sit there and be shaking their head saying, no, I don't want to talk. And I would just say to her, do you know what? Just give me 2 minutes with this young person and let me talk to them. And I would just say, you know, when she's gone, to the young person, how about this? How about we just give it a go, see how it goes. If you don't like it, then we stop. But I think it's really important that you're so important and that you should be kind enough to yourself to find out how you're experiencing life and try and understand your feelings. Let's see if we can work out how you're feeling and how you're experiencing life and see if that, you know, that can help you. So that was what I would do. And then she would come back a few minutes later and I would say, no, it's fine, we're going to work together. And 9 times out of 10, the young person would stay. So within a year of being in the school, the social worker would always save the really, really difficult children for me. And she would say, this child has worked with this counsellor and it's not worked out, and that counsellor, because the school has a few different counsellors. And then she would turn to me and say, just go and do your magic, will you? Go and do your magic. And talk to the kid. And like I said, it doesn't always work out, but 9 times out of 10, just by paying attention to the young person, just by listening. And listening is, communication is not just about what people say, it's about what people don't say, it's about the silences, it's about everything. That's how I was taught. So just by, really paying attention to what was going on and trying to just listen and reflect back, most of the time I'm able to work with a young person. And I just want to say thank you, Stuart. You've been great today. And I wasn't surprised, no slight on John, when you said Evie, because I heard Evie say her name in the chat yesterday or the day before. So when you said it, I thought, there you go, attention to detail again. Thank you.
Thank you, Toyin, for sharing. And I think that everybody enjoys hearing you speak, and I look forward to you sharing more of your story. And kindness and attention to detail, it's the little things. I think that's one of the lessons here. All right, I'm going to wrap up with Jane. Sorry we went long, everybody, guys. What's up, Jane?
Hi, I just want to say thank you to everyone for being part of this, for the setting of this group, because since I've joined and I've been listening, I've been motivated, challenged. I'm kind of a quiet person, and I'm coming out of being quiet, kind of a poor, low self-esteem person, and this group is just tearing that off me, because that is getting me nowhere, and is believing in myself, believing in my values, integrity, honesty, quality, the best quality there is, and with everything that I'm learning from this group, it's impossible to fail. And I just wanted to say that thank you so much. And really, I haven't spoken in a big audience like this, even in face-to-face, apart from my family. But I need to be coming out, let you know that you're doing a great job, John. You're doing a great job, everybody. There's some of us here that are just learning. Like I've been a mother all for about 20 years, all just looking after the children, and now I want to do something for myself. And so where do I start from? There's so much holes, so much gap, but being on this group and all the books that John recommended, it's like 20 years of which I thought I've lost. I've gained them back, and being on this group has really, really helped me to, motivate me. And thank you. That's what I want to say.
You're awesome, Jane. Well said. Good job. Way to get in your power there. Love it. Nice to hear your voice. All right, John, I'm going to flip it back to you, man. Sorry we went long.
No, very good. We just had our first event that wasn't 100% hosted by me. So I'm really excited about this, that we're going to have diversity, leverage, all of that. I know a lot of you got a kick out of, just watching your comments. And we're going to be hearing from Adrian Garner, Glenn Henderson, Jamie Young, of course, Lieutenant Colonel Mark, Ego. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. My goodness, I don't even know how to say names, but we're all family nonetheless. I'll figure out your names eventually. Esther, good to see you. Jane, Toyin, we'll see you guys again tomorrow. Same bad time. You guys have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye, John.
Thank you.
Have a great day.